Hi everyone, I'm the Broken Meeple. Win or lose, I'm going to be honest with you. Right, we've done 4 videos, so let's get on with the 10 through 1 so we can all go home.
I'm partied out. All I want is to stay home and rent videos and watch them with a few friends. Is that so much to ask?
I jest, of course. These are 10 games I can't wait to talk about, and so, let's get on with them. There's most of them you've seen before, but there is one new one, which you might cry foul on, but it's my list, what are you going to do? So this one is number 10, and it was number 10. This hasn't moved, it's still the same as last year. So I've heard a few people sort of being bad-mouthing this one recently, saying like, I don't get the hype for this one and that. I mean, fair enough, if you don't like it, you don't like it, but I still love Lost Ruins of Arnak, and so do a ton of other people out there. Even in its base game form, I'll still have a great time playing it and teaching it to people. I admit that, the research track, in its base game form, is a bit on the powerful side. It's not that it's overpowered. I have won the base game plenty of times, not focusing heavily on the research track. Maybe I'll get the 2 side characters that you can flip over for bonuses, and that's about it. Or maybe I'll just get a part of the way. But if you're good and know what you're doing, you can do well by doing a lot of exploration or monster killing in the base game and still win. It is doable. But if you've got the expansions like I have, not only do the asymmetric powers throw some extra, fun into the works, but those expansion research boards completely destroy that whole notion that it's all about the research. Those research boards are definitely harder to do well on. Yes, you can win the game doing heavy research on those, but they're more balanced to allow for other strategies to form. And, with so many of these boards now, you can pretty much tailor the game to how you like, and there's some great ones out there. But this one I just really still enjoy. A lot of people compared it to Dune Imperium, and I've been aside from the fact you got a bit of worker placement and some deck building to it, sort of. They're not the most comparable games ever. I just like joining in the fun by saying Arnak's better than Dune Imperium. I mean, in my case, it is.
Kill him. Kill him now.
It's apples and oranges. I don't think they're comparable enough. But I still just enjoy this one. It looks gorgeous on the table. It's got a good, healthy mix of mechanics, which are still fun. But I think one thing that this one has going for it is just how sleek it is. It really is just buttery smooth. None of the mechanics feel janky at all. They don't feel clunky. The rules are very easy to teach. The graphic design is sound, and most stuff makes sense. And on top of that, the actions that you can do. You've got a big choice of what you can do, but they're all pretty small actions, and some of them overlap in how they work. Spend resources to do this. But nothing feels like you got to remember, oh great, I don't quite get how that works, or go through 100 steps to perform this one action. The reference aid tells you everything you need to know in the game. It's a fantastic memory jogger. You can pimp this one out to your heart's content. I've got the full-on crate, whatever it is, the Lost Adventure chest, which incidentally, actually, I don't normally go mad for the big boxes, but the Arnak big box chest is actually pretty damn good at storing the game. I gotta give it props. And that's including all the expansions. So it's just, I think the silky smoothness of it helps this one along. Nothing feels like it's clunking or grinding its gears. You just start, sail through, nice pace, nice and smooth, and you're done in a reasonable amount of time, 2 hours or so. I mean, yeah, if you've got really slow AP players, yes, you might go longer, but now you should be able to done and dust this one in 2 hours, get the 5 rounds done, and still have some fun. It's just a solid all-round game. And I was debating whether this was going to be like, SETI was going to beat this one after I tried SETI. But as time has gone on, it's like, nah, it's Arnak. It's gotta be. It's smoother, it's quicker. It's got too many pluses over SETI, despite that one being my 17.
That's the way the cookie crumbles.
And my number 9 has not moved as well. Yes, okay, I promise we'll get a little bit more interesting soon, guys, but yeah, my 9 was my 9 last year, so 10 and 9 haven't shifted. They've just stayed in place. So if any of you are clairvoyant or, have got really good memories, or watching both of these videos side by side, why the hell would you do that? Then you know what this one is. But I mentioned a rather big farming-based game earlier. This is the daddy of the farming games, in my opinion. There is no farming game that beats this one. And if you think I'm going to say Feast of Odin, well, yeah, carry on hoping.
Oh God, you're killing me!
I ain't saying that one, no. In fact, I don't even know why it's still on my shelf at this point, because I haven't played it in years. But the one above it, from Mr. Rosenberg, is the daddy. And that is Fields of Arle. Fields of Arle, Do you like sandbox games? Do you like farming games? Well, put the two together and you get this one. And I mean more so than Caverna. You know, Caverna has some things that are restricted in it, or some things that you should be aiming for. Fields of Isle basically just says, here's a smorgasbord of mechanics to do with farming and weaving and cooking and baking and building and stuff, and do what the hell you friggin' like. You know, you can just go on and do it. There's none of this nonsense of having to get more workers or anything, which is a nice, twist from an action selection / worker placement game. You've got your workers and they go out onto the actions, but that's it. You just have those ones that you use. You don't have to get more as the game goes on. But everything's worth points, even half a point in some respects. Just gathering some resources and timber can be worth actual points. But you can just chop and change what you feel like doing in this game. Do I want to build a bunch of buildings on my map? Great, get points. Do I want to make leather? Do I want to make woolly coats? Then yes, go do that. Do you want to trade with the nearby towns? Go do that. Do you want to raise animals? Go do that. Do you want to harvest wheat and make cook stuff in ovens? Go ahead. Do you want to just be a tool master? Go ahead. Do you want to fish? Do you want to mine peat or whatever it is? You can do literally about anything you can think of with regards to medieval farming in this game, and you're rewarded for it. You have so many choices, so much variety. The expansion has even more variety and the ability to play with free players. Granted, I'm not desperate to play this with free, I must admit. I mean, I play this occasionally with two, but this one for me feels like this is like my key solo Euro game. Like pure Euro. This is a solo I love to play. It takes me a while to get to remember some of the rules to it, and it certainly takes up a lot of space on the table, but it just allows me to just jump into a farming simulator, basically, and do what I like and try and get a decent amount of points. I can't remember if it's like a minimum threshold you have to get. I think it's a minimum threshold, but it's just a nice, it's not even comfort food. It feels relaxing, even though it's a reasonably heavy Euro game, because you just get immersed into the theme of it, and love deciding like, well, what am I going to do this game? Well, let's try and focus on fishing. Okay, right, so I'm going to need this, and we'll build a few more of those. That'd be great. Yep, this is nice, and it's very fulfilling. You don't get penalized at the end for not having the pig or something like that. You just can do what you like and have fun with it, But the expansion is still worth it. Tea and Trade, I think it was called. Even if you're not going to play it with 3 players, it does allow you to play with 2 and solo with quick start rules, so you can shorten the game and get more stuff at the start, which is always good in a Euro. So I still recommend the expansion for people who like Fields of Arle, but even if you've just got the base game, it's just really solid. The base game will only let you do 1 or 2 players, but frankly, this is not a game that warrants having loads of players in. I mean, if this one was a 4-player game, you'd be there until the end of time, not to mention I don't think any table ever would be able to host this game. It's kind of ridiculous. It would definitely be on the levels of Speakeasy or something like that. But yeah, sandbox farming. You want it? It's Fields of Arle.
Look, I know it seems like dirty work, but Chris, you gotta spread that seed until your sack is empty.
My number 8 has shifted from previous year. Yes, something actually moved on this list. It's gone down by 2 places, which, I mean, at this point, a lot of these games you have seen, so maybe it's not going to be the biggest surprise to everybody, although it does make a bit of a big deal with just 1 placement up or down, especially when you get to the top 5 here. So 2 places down has dropped it a little bit, but, it's still fantastic. It is my favorite from this designer. I don't, whatever people want to say about the new Speakeasy, this is the daddy of all the games that Lacerda ever made. It is my prime favorite out of all of his. It is Kanban EV, and it used to be the Gallerist. The Gallerist did used to be my favorite with the original version of Kanban, but then when Eagle Griffin, tarted it up and made that version, the EV version, yeah, hands down, Kanban EV is the best out of the lot. It's a little bit harder to get into than Gallerist. It's not quite the easiest one to teach, although it's not far off, actually. It's not that difficult to teach, mainly because the theme works so well. You are employees making cars in a factory while trying to dodge your boss, who is constantly coming around trying to mark you down for everything that you do. You're trying to study at your exams, trying to get better at your job, and of course dodge the wrath of your boss. But you're getting your blueprints, you're getting your parts, you're building the cars, and you're testing them on the track with, brakes and, steering and all that. A lot of the stuff makes sense. It's just thematically so I don't know, the theme is interwoven with the mechanics so damn well here. You know, and I've been criticizing Lacerda's recent games. I mean, I haven't played Speakeasy, and I'm only going to play it if someone shoves it in front of me, because I am not buying it for that much. But all these older games I felt had theme down to a T. But the recent stuff just feel like mechanics for the sake of mechanics. When the machine was confused as to what theme it was even trying to be, and Inventions was just a boring snorefest. You know, the theme meant nothing in that one. So, you know, and even Speakeasy's theme, I hear, is a little bit hit and miss. But with these ones, I feel like with Vinyos and Gallerist, and particularly Kanban, the theme was just... the theme and the mechanics just gelled so well. I love trying out different sort of paths to victory with this one. We're going to go heavy on testing, heavy on blueprints. Am I going to do a bit of everything? You know, study like crazy. Do I really care about the boss? You know, yeah, mark me down, whatever, I'm doing well at this. You know, even just little things like, am I going to focus on the budget car or the luxury cars? You know, I mean, that doesn't make a huge amount of difference to how you play, but, you know, you get into it and you just think, yeah, you know what, I focused on all these little super minis. So I basically just created my car, effectively. I'm just basically Suzuki, creating Suzuki Swift Sports all through the game. But, you know, you have to switch it up. The worker placement aspect with choosing the different rooms and what position is paramount importance. I mean, you've got the boss occasionally blocking spaces. You've got the timing aspect for when you place your worker and also when it activates. So you're trying to time yourself with the other players. So this does not feel like a solitaire game. You know, yes, everybody's doing their own thing in their garage, but because everybody's kind of influencing, you know, where the cars are on the assembly line, where the cars are on the test track, what parts are available, what blueprints are available. There's a lot of stuff that makes the game more interactive than a lot of Lacerda's, and all of this just comes together into such a fun experience. Even the solo mode's really solid in this. You play against effectively Turksy and Lacerda as two other employees, and you basically got to stay ahead of them while surviving till the end of the game, and it's a pretty decent solo mode, actually. It's fun to play. It's just a bit of a rules vest. You know, you have to learn the whole game, then this extra half a game on top to play the solo mode. That is the downside. This was back in the day when Turksy's solo modes were certainly a little bit rules heavy, but it is a solid solo mode if you're willing to put in the effort and go along with it. I just absolutely love this one to bits. You know, it's pinned up to the nines with like the great components and the improved graphic design in that. I mean, this is what you want to do with second editions. You know, there are second editions for games that just feel like they rehashed it and tweaked a couple of things or something. But this one, from like a component perspective, a streamlining perspective, a graphic design perspective, is exactly what you want to do when you want to implement an old game and improve it, because it improved it on pretty much every single level I can think of. It's still solid, still my favorite. I will play Speakeasy when someone shoves it in front of me, but man, would that have to like work wonders from what I've heard about it to match up to the likes of Kanban.
He is not too happy.
Right, after that groundbreaking shift of 2 places, this next one didn't move. Yeah, okay, we got another non-mover in the list. Sorry. This one was 7 last year as well as this year, but I still love it. It is quick, it is snappy, it is, you know, it's got the right theme for me. I love anything nature themed. I like tableau builders, I like cards, I like card games where you have so many different cards and they're all unique and you have to decide, gotta pick my battles here. Can't play them all. Well, okay, so these are important. This one maybe not so much. If I can, that would be great. That's all trash, cannon fodder. Okay, so I can trash these and put them into me pile. That's fine. And I'll play these ones. That'll trigger all of these. 100 abilities to trigger. Of course. Where are you? Where are you? Oh, there you are. Earth. Sorry, how can I miss you? You've got Earth. You've got the Abundance expansion. There's the Deluxe Resources, which might have been a bit of a mistake, and some playmats as well. I think I needed something to buy at the UK Games Expo, and I just didn't have anything I wanted to buy, so I thought, sod it, I'll buy the deluxe edition resources for Earth. And even though some of those resources I do use, probably a mistake to get those canopy trees. Those canopy trees are just, I mean, they look cool, and it's great when you play it solo. I will use them when I play solo, but when I take this out and play it in a group, they just get in the way. You can't see anybody else's board because of these things.
Please excuse the crudity of this model. I didn't have time to build it to scale or to paint it.
That aside, the game's fantastic. I love playing this one with friends. We can, go for it at a pretty quick pace. We enjoy the abundance expansion. It's been growing on me. It took a little while, but I think, when you're playing Earth with people who know what they're doing, abundance is a really good one to throw in. But it's just the unique cards, the fact that you're doing something on everybody's turn, you're waiting for them to choose what action it's going to be, but as soon as they choose it, it's like, right, I get to do stuff, okay. And then next player, right, you're choosing red, okay, right, I get to do stuff. You always get to do stuff quite frequently. Now, is it, like, particularly lucrative for you? Well, that depends if you focused on a color or not, I focused heavily on yellow. If they pick blue, I'm not doing a lot, but, I did that. That's my fault, If I diversify, that's not so much of a problem. It just says, I love the nature theme of it. It looks gorgeous on the table, with or without those deluxe resources. And I'm looking forward to this Earth expansion. Of course I backed it. Of course I'm gonna, have a look at this one and give you a beyond the base game review of it. Of course I will. Don't worry. But yeah, having little animals that go around your board and trigger stuff and that, that sounds pretty good to me, and it fits with the theme. I'm definitely up for it. In fact, one thing I do with the friends at the moment is, because I tend to win every game I play against them, we've got like the achievement sheet that we use in both. And normally I don't care about achievement sheets in these games, but in this one I do, because what happens now is when I play Earth with them, I always opt to try and achieve one of the weird achievements on there, like the ones where you've got to focus on this, because you got to achieve it as well as win the game. And so it just adds kind of like a handicap to myself, but a fun handicap. I am trying to go for this weird way of playing the game, and if I do it and manage to win the game, happy days, I feel even better. But at least it also brings them up to kind of like the same playing field, because I'm deliberately kind of hemorrhaging myself in some respects while they can play the game normally. It's we can enjoy it at the same level, just with a few little tweaks. It's great fun, it looks good, what more is there to say? It's Earth, you've probably heard of it by now. Solo or multiplayer, it is a blast, just don't play it with 5, that's stupid.
Stupid! It's stupid!
Number 6, down 2 places. This one has dropped slightly, but not a huge amount of difference at this time, but it's still taking up a good, calyx and a half worth of space. And when the expansions come out this year that I also backed, it's probably going to take up 2 calyx squares fully. I even went to the trouble of having this painted, which kind of worries me actually, because with the expansions, that means I'm going to have to figure out who the hell painted it last time and get them to paint this lot again. This is the problem when you get stuff painted. You have the logistics of trying to paint all the expansions. But I went to the effort and expense of doing it on this occasion because it's probably of course it is. It's my favorite skirmish co-op guns a-blazing shoot 'em up game, based on a PC game I've sunk over 500 hours into, and at least probably another 30 to 50 since the recent season came out. It's Deep Rock Galactic.
Everyone, can I get some attention?
Yes, I did my review on Valheim, and I've been referencing Deep Rock Galactic a lot. Valheim was good. It was a pretty good game, actually, but it doesn't hold a candle to Deep Rock. Deep Rock just suits a tabletop form a lot better, because Deep Rock Galactic is one of those games that you can just pick up for about 20 minutes, go into it, and have a good time. But, Valheim requires a bit more longer term. But Deep Rock in the tabletop form is an hour and a half or so of, here's your dwarfs, here's the mission, bunch of bugs, go shoot stuff. Nice and straightforward. Now, the rules were not perfect. The first edition rulebook was a bit of a slog, and the second edition rulebook has helped, but you still do generate a few FAQ moments, and sadly, Valheim was no different, so they do need to work a little bit on getting these rulebooks like watertight with FAQ moments drilled out, but that being said, they're a relatively small publisher, so, you gotta give them a little bit of slack. But that aside, the gameplay is just very fun. You've got everything it's paying homage to in the game. Yes, you've got to abstract 1 or 2 things, but it's being faithful to the experience. It feels like a co-op game of guns blazing and bugs are dying. It's definitely that line of thing. And with the expansions, you can now have some of those extra weird missions, like the drill dozer or the morkite mining and stuff like that, which certainly do change the game up quite a bit. I made the sort of negative with Valheim that the different scenarios and bosses didn't really change the game you were playing that much. Deep Rock's not the case. I mean, you may have one where you just go and collect gems, yes, but then you have another one where you go collect eggs. There's a little bit of a tweak there, but then when you throw in the expansion stuff, the drill dozer, escorting that thing is phenomenally different than going out to hunt a dreadnought, which is also fundamentally different from doing morkite mining. You know, there are definitely some good variations with the scenarios that make each game feel different. Tailor the difficulty to how you like. I tend to put it on hazard level 3 out of 5, you know, 2 or 3. You know, 4 or 5's maybe a little bit hard, but at the end of the day, I want to have a decent chance of winning, but there's a chance it could go south because you are rolling dice and, you know, trusting to luck at times. But it's just a good laugh, you know, good, light-hearted fun, you know, with all sorts of different guns and different abilities, and you feel like a proper co-op. And that's going to be said more than once on this list, where there's no Lone Ranger aspect. Yeah, you go off and run over there by yourself and ignore the rest of the team. Have fun getting swarmed by a bunch of bugs or getting a face leech on you and getting dragged up to the point where you can't be saved. It's the same in the video game. You know, you get people who get so cocky sometimes and run off and do their own thing. It's funny when a leech grabs them and it's like, you know, save me. We can't. You ran on the head. We're not here. You know, so you gotta play like a proper co-op. It's got good, it generates good camaraderie, generates good laughs, you know, it's just good, fun, shooty co-op. What more do you want? And spiders get to die. Well, bugs. Either way, kill bugs.
The only good bug is a dead bug.
Right, get ready to call foul, people. This is the new entry to the list. A game has somehow managed to whittle its way into my number 5. And it's a weird one because, you know, do I enjoy overall the games previous to this one more? Probably yes, but this one is very cheap, very easy to get hold of now. You know, it is a quick game, it's a party-esque type game. It is, you know, it's tied to another game, a specific card game that I really enjoy and have a lot of connections to from when I was a bit younger. But it's one that gets played probably by 5 consecutive tables at every convention you go to. Even at a Monday club, I have seen 2 to 3 different tables playing this game. And every time I play this game, we play it a good 5 or 6 times in a row, and we don't get bored. It has one big caveat, and I will stress that caveat a bit later, but I can't deny that when it comes to games I'm playing a lot lately, that I'm enjoying, that are really solid games, I hate the fact I have to agree with Shut Up and Sit Down on something, because I think they loved it as well. It's The Gang.
What?
Good morning, Vietnam! Yeah, The Gang is just doing it for me, and that's, you know, there are some caveats to mention. I mean, firstly, I love Texas Hold'em poker, okay? I used to play it around a pub every Thursday evening, I think just after, it was either during uni or after uni, I can't remember, maybe when I first moved back to Portsmouth, but you know, I used to play with a few people, about 5 or 6 of us. We met around a pub, had some drinks, and we did like £5 in tournaments. So everyone chipped in a fiver. First person got like 15 quid back, 20 quid back or something. Second person got their fiver back, and the rest got nothing, right? So you weren't playing for crazy money. If you lost every tournament that we played in the night, it was no different than going out for a decent night out, really, by the time you'd had some drinks and factored that in. But if you came first once at some point during the night, you know, you basically got yourself a free night for the most part. And it meant that you still played poker properly, like you tried to play by the rules, because when you play with the fake chips, people just do whatever the hell they like and don't care. But, you know, you still get to have a little bit at stake. I like going to poker tournaments at, you know, casinos every now and again. You know, £25 into the tournament and, you know, see how far I can get. I never expect to win. You know, I love Texas Hold'em poker. I never stressed that I was an expert at it. You know, so it's just something fun. But if I can get an evening full of poker for £25, I'm happy. Yeah, I've had a good fun time. But this one, it just keeps getting played. And that big caveat I mentioned, this is when I'm playing it with people who know how to play poker. Not necessarily well, but who understand how poker works. The game does drop a bit, alright, drop a bit, drops a lot when you play with that one person who hasn't got a clue how poker works in any way, shape, or form and cannot seem to understand the concept of the ranking chart at all. You know, if you get one of those people, firstly, why the hell did they agree to play the game with you in the first place? And secondly, yes, that does drop the experience. It's a fragile game for sure. But when I do play it with people who have at least a modicum of understanding about poker, and particularly with people at conventions who, because they request the game get played, know how to play poker, it is a lot of fun. I am liking these limited communication games a lot now. We banter a little bit with the speech in the gang. We don't sit in silence, you know, we just don't reveal any information about our cards. But it just generates a lot of laughs with people taking those chips, because you can't say why you're taking the chip. You know, it's like, oh, I grabbed this one. And it's like, you blinked and suddenly you're left with the best chip there. And it's like, I'm sitting with a 7-2. No, my hand is not the best. Hang on, give me that one. I'm taking it back. All right, I'll take that back. I'm taking that 2 instead. I'm taking that 3. No, I'll give that 2. Boom, 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 boom. And it just, you know, you end up with these massive, like, grabbing wars for all the different chips as everyone is trying to sass out what people's hands have got. And if you know how to play poker, then you understand the progression from start to finish. You can sort of realize, right, they started off pretty bad, yeah, not a great hand. This one hasn't improved. Oh, wait a minute, that one improved their hand. Colossal. Well, that must mean they were holding on to 3 hearts. You know, sorry, 3 hearts. Learn how to play poker, you idiot. You know, holding on to 2 hearts. 3 have come out. 5th heart's there. They've hit the flush. I ain't hit the flush. I don't think anybody else has either. I think you're the best. But you've been less confident than I am. I think I'm beating you on the hand, and I love this whole getting into each other's heads and trying to think, what are you thinking? What are you trying to tell me with your mind here? And occasionally you do get people who are just friggin' idiots and don't know what they're doing, so that can throw you for a loop. But then, well, everybody points the finger at them and goes, what the hell are you on? So they get their comeuppance eventually. But it's a fragile game. There's a big caveat for sure, and I get it if people want to call foul on this one, but every time I go to a club, typically it's getting played, right? You know, like most club nights. Every time I go to a convention, it's getting played. And people are playing this on multiple different tables. You look at one table and they're playing the game. You look at another table that also played it. This is popular. And I hate the fact that I think Shut Up and Sit Down loved it as well, because I never usually like to agree with anything they say. And annoyingly, I have to agree with this one. But, yeah, it's a great little game from Cosmos. If you like Texas Hold'em poker, this is one you're definitely going to look at. But if you know nothing about Texas Hold'em poker, then stay the hell away from this game. It ain't for you.
I'm sorry. That last hand nearly killed me.
Number 4. Ready? Number 4 has risen the place, actually. This actually climbed 1 spot. Yeah, games are actually on the rise in this section of 10. It's not just new people and droppers. This one is a co-op, and when it comes to co-ops, when people sort of go, right, I need a co-op, you know, fairly meaty, you know, something for me and my gamer girlfriend, and we want something that's quite thinky, you know, something thinky that's really going to burn the brain. Well, when it comes to co-ops that burn the brain, there are very few that you can think of that would do the job better than Spirit Island. Spirit Island is the granddaddy of big, brain-burning, melting, face-melting co-ops. You know, this one will do your head a number. It's got a lot of rules to learn. It's got FAQ moments that will arise. It's got tons of puzzly thinking. Whether you use the event deck or not, it's still a very puzzly game. And I love it. It is thematically mwah. You know, it is mwah, the kiss of life for, you know, thematic integration, because all the different spirits that you've got feel thematic. They play like you think they're gonna do. What do you think that bird made out of lightning is gonna do? It's gonna zap buildings. You know, what do you think the ocean's wave is gonna do? It's going to move onto the coast and then suck people back into the ocean and drown them. You know, it's all of these spirits work so well. There's so many of them now, and I think there's another expansion on the way, the Dahan focused expansion. If there is, cannot wait. You know, I don't think the game needs any more content, but you know what? If it comes out, I will salivate until I buy it. So it's going to happen. But there's so much for it now. I can tweak the difficulty. I don't like playing this on the stupidly hard difficulties. For starters, if you're playing true solo, it's impossible to win on those sort of difficulties. But when I'm playing with people who know what they're doing a bit more than me, like say 3 of us or something, then I'm willing to go a little bit harder on the difficulties. But even then, I'm probably the weakest player out of the ones there, because I tend to go for mid-range difficulty. Maybe fairly lowish difficulty if it's true solo.
Your kids are soft.
Man, it's just such a rewarding puzzle. Pick a scenario, pick an adversary, pick a spirit. The next spirit you play will be fundamentally different in terms of its style. Is it going to be combat heavy? Is it going to kill loads of invaders? Is it going to control a board? Is it going to generate loads of fear? They're the spirits I love the most. So bring on the bringer of dreams and nightmares, for example, or the was it many minds, the beastie one, the shroud, stuff. Well, not the shroud. What am I thinking? The light's delirium or something. But basically any spirit that focuses on fear. I love those spirits. And then you've got, defense, high defense, we're going to protect you from this. All the different power cards, they will fundamentally change your strategy as well. There's a bit of luck involved, because you draw so many and have to pick one, and you're hoping to get certain types of powers or combinations of those element symbols, and they may or may not turn up. But you just got to take the rough with the smooth in this game. But it's just so satisfying, if I get to play it with a friend of mine in particular and his girlfriend, so, if I get to play it with them, then we have a blast playing this free player. It's just great fun. Where they're thinking, our brains have melted by the end, but win or lose, we've had a good time. You are involved in this game from start to finish. It does the job brilliantly. If there is more content coming, then great, I'm going to look it up and no doubt talk about it when it does. But, with the whole situation that happened with Greater Than Games, who knows. But yeah, Spirit Island. It's, again, not for everybody. I had the story of somebody who watched my show and, likes me talking about games and buys a lot of games based on my recommendation, mostly by rating. And for him and his spouse, who are not gamers, they are typically light gamers. He said, oh yeah, he loves Spirit Island, I should get that one as well.
No, God!
Yeah, no, I don't think you should be trying Spirit Island, So you gotta have this little caveat here that this is for heavy gamers who like co-ops, and nobody else. But if you fit that category, or if you want a solo game that's going to be heavy and brain-burny, then this is one to check out. It was a sleeper hit for me, it was a sleeper hit for a lot of people. I got taught it badly on my first occasion. I thought, nah, I don't see the point of this. And then after a while I sort of thought, well, I do remember good things from it, but it was a horrible teach. And it's like, alright, fine, let's get back into it. And I even did some older videos reviewing the game where I talked about this. And it's like, alright, I bought the game, played it a bit solo, and also played it with a couple of others like multiplayer and stuff. And then realised, damn it, I would have been playing this game a lot sooner if that idiot hadn't taught me it badly. Because it was definitely worth it. A bad teach of this game will ruin it for you. So be warned on that. Do I love it.
I never get involved in politics.
Here we go. The top 3 of the top 50. Right, number 3. Okay, how do I talk about this without spoiling it too soon? I mean, it's been a frequent one in the top 50 or top 100, for sure. It's been a particularly good game for a lot of people. A bunch of other people think this is too fiddly, too overwrought with, card text and stuff like that. But, the new edition made it a lot better. It streamlined a lot of those card elements. Now, it can still get fiddly at times. It's not entirely devoid of that. But if you like superheroes, yeah, okay, this one is kind of easy to tell now. It is the game that has, for many years, certainly the first probably 5 to 7 years I was doing top 100s and stuff, has been my number 1 game. It's still my number 3. It is Sentinels in the Multiverse. This game just fills me with joy. Solo or multiplayer. Usually I'm playing it solo, or I'm playing it 2-player with a friend of mine who particularly likes the Sentinels games as well, or I'm playing it 4, well actually not even 4-player, 3. Actually I've played it with all player counts, except for 5. 5 is dumb, don't play this with 5. But yeah, 1, 2, 3 or 4 players, I am playing this game. And I love it. I love superheroes in general. Give me Marvel, give me DC, give me Invincible. Can't wait for season 4, by the way. Give me hell. I want to try that Dispatch game. All right, next Steam sale, I'm gonna get Dispatch. I want to play that. I know it's mostly a quick time event game, but choose your own adventure or whatever. But hey, I hear the story's pretty damn good in it, so I want to watch it. But yeah, the superheroes are just the thing that I do enjoy in movies and TV quite a lot. Not a huge amount of board games, I must admit, that follow the whole superhero thing. Well, who needs it when you got Sentinels? Sentinels is a co-op card game where everybody plays a particular hero, goes up against a villain, you get beaten down at first, and then you got to rise back up, power up, and go beat the villain down. Just like every other movie that superheroes do. But you're your own superhero. You have your own pre-built deck of cards. There is no deck building in this game. If I want to play Legacy, this is my Legacy deck. If I want to play, I'm trying to think of some of the names, the Matriarch with all our crows and that, then this is the Matriarch deck. Bunker, his deck. The Argent Adept, his deck. And all of the decks are customized to the particular hero, or villain, or environment, and they're very unique. If you play one particular hero, your style of play and what you're doing is going to be fundamentally different from a different hero. So you can have a lot of fun with, when I say play solo, you're not playing true solo. You're typically playing like 3 heroes at once. That's how I tend to do it. I play with 3. But if I play with a friend of mine, we'll have 2 decks each. And then you can have 3 or 4 player, having 1 deck each. Man, you feel like a team here. You've got to support each other. You might have the one person in your team that's dishing out all the damage, but the only reason they're dishing out all the damage is because the others are either taking the hits or powering them up or doing something to help them through it. You are a perfect, well-knit Avengers-style team. Or whatever the DC equivalent was, Justice League and all that lot. I'm brain farting here, I should know that, but you feel like it, and the cards and the abilities that you have make you feel like that hero. And when I teach this game, usually I just say, look, what's your favorite Marvel or DC superhero? And they go, The Flash. Okay, fine, here's Tachyon, have fun. You can pretty much do that. Just if they're struggling to think, well, who do I pick as a hero? And it's like, well, you said you like The Flash, then here you go, this is the Flash with her deck. And the lore behind this game is actually fun to read. If you read the rule books with the sort of short story blurbs about each of the characters and how they all link together, it's actually pretty interesting. Honestly, if the makers of Invincible wanted to do a Sentinels in the Multiverse TV show, maybe it doesn't need to be quite as shall we say, bloody and gory as Invincible. That's its own unique thing, and it's amazing. But if you wanted to do something a bit more PG-13 rated or something like that, maybe 15, and do Sentinels in the Multiverse, then, man, I'd watch it. I think it would be fantastic. I would definitely watch it. Shame it's never going to be a thing, but, one can dream. But, yeah, I've loved this game so much. In its first iteration, I've still got the big massive crate of the first iteration with the Cauldron fan expansion that was done. I can't bear to let it go, even though I've got the definitive edition with all the expansions so far, which is the better version of the game. You can see my review where I've compared the two in that, but I can't get rid of the old stuff because it's so... I've had so much time with it. I've even got a giant poster on the wall behind the camera for all the Sentinel stuff that was at the time, when I did the Kickstarter for it. This game has just been a staple for me since the first year I started gaming properly. This has been one of the Flashpoint Fire Rescue game. That's on my shelf, just not on my top 50. It's been with me for so long. I couldn't bear to have it not in the collection at this point. Now, Desperation, or there is a newest expansion, makes me a bit sad because the thing with Greater Than Games and having to close down and that because of the tariffs and that, thank you, Trump, basically meant that Desperation is pretty much only going to be easily obtainable by backers, and even then, that's mostly the ones in the US who backed it, because to try and get it over here is now an impossible. How the hell I'm going to get a copy of this expansion, I don't know, but if there is a way to do it, then somebody get in touch, because frankly, I want it. So it just saddens me that this might be the last time we get any more content for Sentinels because of what happened. It's like, oh, it's a bittersweet ending, but I gotta get that new expansion. I gotta find a way. I
don't know what it is, but I want to try it.
Okie dokie. Number two. I'm not even going to say what position it was in because that would give it away as well. This game, how the hell did I end up liking this game so much? I mean, its setting and theme doesn't feel like something I should like. And I was skeptical that it would even be a good game, let alone a fantastic game that's like my top 3 games of all time. But somehow, they cracked it. They nailed it. They got the design of this game to a sublime level of intricate interactive detail. And it is played by me every convention. You know, possibly without fail. Unless people cancel on me, I play this game every convention. I go out of my way to, preferably with people who know what they're doing, but occasionally I'll teach my friends and stuff like that. It'll go on for over 4 hours. It will be interactive. It'll be mean at times. You will be in each other's faces. It's about social politics. But somehow, this doesn't faze me, despite the fact in other games it should. Hegemony, lead your class to victory, or in this case, lead your game to my number 2 spot. Yes, Hegemony has risen a spot from number 3 to be my number 2 game, because I just love it. Every time I play this, I am involved, I am interested in the board state. I put up a little post about PAX Renaissance recently, and, you know, even though that's a game that technically I shouldn't like that much, and granted, there are problems I have with it, but the fact that the board state is so interactive, like, it's so important when you play that game. You've got to keep an eye on what's going on around the board, and what people have got in their card displays. You know, it's all links. This is the beauty with Hegemony. Everything links. Whatever class I'm playing, working class, capitalist, state, middle class, whatever. You're interested in what everyone else is doing, especially as the state. You're trying to keep everyone in balance. It's one of my favourite classes to play because of the whole, I get to watch the board and think, well, you know, let's give you a little bit of an up there working class. That's fine. Yep, everything's going good. I'm getting good points. I'm doing well. And hang on a minute. Capitalist, what do you think you're doing? Huh? You're trying to get away with me? Nope. Get back down the peg there. And you can do that as a state, but any of the classes, they play fundamentally different. You know, middle class is definitely the hardest to grok for newer players. It's not easy. But, you know, other than that, it's the balance in this game. People used to claim, oh, this one's overpowered, and the designer actually joked with me by posting a screenshot on BGG showing screenshots of all the threads that have somebody claiming that this class is overpowered. It's probably the only game I'm aware of in existence where every class in the game has a thread about it being overpowered. That takes some doing, you know, but for what it is, you know, yes, can it be the most perfectly balanced game ever? No, no game ever is. But man, did they get it down to a T. I mean, Stonemaier, take frickin' notes on this. You know, a little bit of, you know, inspiration from Hegemony might just let you fix some of the balance in your games. Cough, cough, tapestry.
There are tapestries.
I love playing this. I love getting involved. I love the interactivity. The meanness and the length, yeah, but I'm involved for those 4+ hours. I'm not sat there bored out of my head unless people are really APing about their turns. It can happen. It has happened. But most of the time, you know, you want to know what they're doing on their turns and it could affect you in some way, so you are still involved. The fact that an expansion is coming out for this, I didn't think they'd be able to do it. I'm still skeptical as to how they're supposed to do it, but the idea that we're going to have new policies in the game and new mechanics of how they work, like you've got a policy devoted to environmental concerns, one to crime rate, and I can't remember what the third one is. Is it something economy driven? I can't remember, but one's about crime and one's about environment. But, you know, we know next to nothing about it because they've only released very basic details of it. But, yeah, the drool over there's a big puddle of drool there on the floor, which is me waiting for this expansion. Oh, hell yes, do I want to give this expansion a try. You know, I mean, I'm worried because you've already got a game that is so intricately well designed. You've now got to try and create a very well intricately designed expansion to gel with it and not unbalance it out of proportion. It is a tough ask. But man, do I want to find out. It's going to be pretty sound. And, a lot of people are excited about World Order. I'm less excited about that one. It basically just felt like Twilight Struggle with extra steps. But, I need to try it more because I've only really played it at its design stage. So I need to play like a finished copy of it and give my thoughts. But, man, Hegemony just worked. I can't believe how it works so well. it's got a lot of milestones for me. I mean, you know, the fact that I like the game despite these elements is a milestone in itself. The fact that it's my number 2 is a milestone. But also the fact that when I first reviewed this game, I don't think I've ever put as much effort into getting a game played enough times to be able to review it, as well as the effort it took to make the review as Hegemony did. It took a lot of effort, and I hope you've watched the review because it would make my day. But yeah, I've battled on for too long and we got to get this video done. So, well done, Hegemony. Up to my number 2. How the fucking hell?
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
Get on with it!
Do I need to say it? At this point, if you know my videos, if you've watched my top 100s and 50s before, if you've heard me talk about this game before, if you've seen me on BGA, if you've seen me at my Monday Games Club, you know I love this game, and I wish I could surprise you with a brand new number 1 this year, but I mean, I surprised you a little bit with a different number 2, and my 5 from earlier. It's gotta count for something, right? But maybe you haven't watched my videos, maybe you're new to me, maybe you've never seen what my favourite games are, and this is gonna surprise you.
A cookie!
No, it's not a cookie.
Not the cookie.
It is the animal game to end all animal games. It is the card tableau typewriter mechanic game to end all games of that mechanic. They tried to do a spin-off of this and I gave it a 5 out of 10. They couldn't replicate the magic that this one had even in an easier setting. I played this on BGA with a friend of mine religiously. We are constantly playing 2-player games of this. Most games I don't get to play like tons and tons and tons of times because obviously I'm trying new games and you can only play so many games in the life you have. But thanks to BGA, this is one of those games that I have played over 200 times. And a lot of those will be in the last year, in fact, because I'm playing it a lot more with this person on BGA. So, you know, when I see it at game night, I'm very intrigued to play it, even with 3 or 4 players. You know what they're doing. You know, the expansion was a 10 out of 10. If they do more content for this game, I am going to be clawing at the doors to try and get it. You know it. It's Ark Nova. You know, what was it? The number 2 on BGG at the moment, only surpassed by Brass, and let's face it, yeah, you want to like Brass, go ahead, but no way is that game even close to the same postcode as Ark Nova for me. But man, do I love Ark Nova. It's a heavy game, but yet it's comfort food for me at this point. You know, I can just sit down either on the Steam app or on BGA or with the physical copy and play it. And even though I'm thinking about, right, okay, I should play these animals, maybe I should aim for this, you know, aim for that, go for that one. Well, that card's pretty good, I could do that. Oh, you're racing me to get the South Americas, I better be a little bit careful. You know, even though I'm thinking about all that, it just flows. It feels like comfort food. I'm just playing it relaxed, which for a heavy game is kind of tricky, you know, because I've played it so much, it feels like that. And a lot of people will complain it's, you know, too long. I'm not going to deny it's quite a long game. And, you know, normally, like I say, it takes a lot for a game to surpass, you know, the fact that it's long for me. But when you play this with people who know what they're doing, you can get the game done in a decent amount of time. It's mainly too long because of, you know, either AP players or playing it with people who've never played the game enough. You know, they don't know what they're doing. It can drag the game out there. BGA solves this problem, you know, it's done nice and quick. But they also complained about the card luck. But they seem to give other games that involve card luck a pass. Like apparently Dune Imperium is the next best thing since sliced bread, yet they don't complain about the card luck in that one, they complain about it in Ark Nova. Double standards much? But Ark Nova's card luck isn't as bad as people say. I have won most of my games of Ark Nova. I can tell you now, I am one of the unluckiest people in the world. I am not doing it by luck, okay? You know, with Ark Nova, you have to understand the game is about short-term achievements, okay? You decide, right, what's my next thing I need to do now? I need to get this bird out, right? How am I going to get this bird out? Well, I need another science symbol, and I need a 2 enclosure for it. Right, build the enclosure, and also, while you're at it, either play the sponsor or get a university, get that science symbol, now play the bird. Good, right, you've done that. What's the next goal? Well, I'm close to getting 5 for the America's objective over there. Okay, cool. Right, what do I need? Well, I need to get 1 more America's symbol. There's a card on the display that can do it. Right, where's my card thing? Right, I'll spend an X, use cards, snap it up, grab it. Now play it. Right, get the objective, done. Short-term achievement made, go for the next thing. And that's the way you gotta play Ark Nova. You can't, yes, you can have a long-term prospect of, right, I've got a few birds, maybe I'll gun for that as my long-term thing. and you've got the one brown objective, at the start of the game, although I love the fact that you have two and then eventually choose one. I mean, it's such a good rule for doing start game objectives that I now house rule that into Wingspan. Check out my top 10 house rules video for how that is implemented. But, I like the fact that you choose it midway. But other than that, the game should be about short-term gains. It's like, I couldn't get any of the Predator symbols for what I have despite having the Predator sponsor. Okay, go play something else. Go get monkeys. Go get snakes. They're worth points. People sort of get too gung-ho about trying to fit into one particular thing in their zoo. They don't realize that diversification is still a good thing. My friend will ask, how is it you are winning more of these games? And it's like, because I feel that they get too pigeonholed into one particular route without being willing to expand to something else when the opportunity arises. And you do need to find these opportunities. I mean, there are ways to outrun your opponent to those green objectives. There are cards that are important there. You should maybe consider snapping them up. Yes, it's only one card that you draw, but if it's a critical card, it's worth doing. And if you find that, okay, the green objectives I'm not doing great at, but so-and-so is doing pretty well at the Africa. There's only one card that's come out there for Africa. I could play it, still get some points. You know what? Let me snap up the Africa because it denies you one, slows you down while I'm still carrying on at my own pace. And you've got to think about these things. It's not the most interactive game in the world. No, there's a solitaireness to it, although I'd argue that I am very interested in what the opponent is doing from a card perspective, from the icons perspective, from the objective racing perspective. There's definitely aspects that warrant a little bit of interaction there. But yeah, it's not the most interactive Euro. But I mean, animals work for me. I love animals, so a game about playing animals with cool pictures and stuff is going to appeal to me anyway. The typewriter mechanic with the whole action cards, and they get stronger as you leave them longer. I mentioned with Civilization A New Dawn, Civilization A New Dawn, that I think that mechanic is brilliant and needs to be in more games. Well, now it's in technically 3 games. It's just a shame that Sanctuary was barely average. Check out my review for that one to find out why that one missed the mark. But Art Nova is just, it's such a good hit for me, and I thought can any of these other games reach my number one? Even Hegemony, I thought, I gun to play this at every convention. I don't gun to play Art Nova at every convention, but then I'm playing Art Nova via other means. When the Steam app came out, I played that Steam app for ages doing those challenges, and I still play it every now and again to play against the hard AI bot on there. It's still something I play by other mediums rather than necessarily going to a convention and playing it. For a convention, I need something like Hegemony played. But the amount of times I've played this in the last couple of years, the amount of fun I have with it, the fact that it is still going strong after 200 freaking plays of this game with a fantastic expansion, and I'm more than happy if they do another expansion. I mean, hell, you don't even have to add more mechanics, just add more variety. Just add more cards to the decks and, give me more objectives and give me more, more green cards and stuff. Totally down for that. Honestly, I'll take it. More of those action cards that you use in the expansion, the ones that you are asymmetric to players. Give me more of those. I'll gladly play with a bunch. The map packs are cool when they come out, because again, more stuff to do. That's all I need. Just up the variety in this game. But I can't deny, it is my favourite game of all time for a reason. Some people can't stand it, which is fair enough. I said, what did I say? Like at the start of the last couple of videos, or even the start of this whole top 50 list, that, even some in my podcast as well, there are people who actively hate my top 5 games with a passion. Fine, go do that. If your top 5 games are Brass, Concordia, and, Food Chain Magnate, then by all means go play them, enjoy them, and have a good time. I am going to hate their guts, the games, not the person, but you go find your 5 favorite games. These are mine. I love them. I've given you my reasons. I adore these. These are just 10 games that I love. Whew, there you go. I can barely speak. I have lost all my energy from being this positive. My top 10 games of all time. Love them all. If these get a chance to be played, you bet I am sitting at the table and playing these. But yeah, that's not to say that I don't like games outside my top 50. I mean, there was a bunch of games that didn't make the list, and, there's too many games to do 100, really. It would take too long, but I'm not going to go into crazy amount of detail as to some of these other games, but I'm just going to very briefly go over a few here that didn't quite make the list. You know, maybe some of the runners-up. Runestones, 51. Still love it. Still great little deck builder. Just, you know, 51 is still really good. On the Underground, 53. Dominant Species Marine, 52. You know, those games, again, really good. Cascadia, you know, 54. Street Masters, 55. The Crew, 56. Edge of Darkness, Architects of the West Kingdom, and Viscounts of the West Kingdom, also in the 50s. You know, so these are games that I have loved and got higher up my list before. It's just there's a lot of games and the test of time. You know, the West Kingdom games aren't standing the test of time as much as the Tigris ones. You know, there's definitely elements of that. What else we got here? A Wild Venture tried to make it into my top 50, but only reached 62. Let's see. Viticulture went down to 66. The new Bordeaux expansion could up that for next time, although I don't think it's going to up it crazy. Like, I don't know if Viticulture will ever end up in my top 50 again. We'll have to see. Heat Pedal to the Meadow and Vindication and Terramara were 72, 73, 74, and they are the bottom of the list as I did it. I only ranked 74 items. I didn't bother anything beyond that. Vignos, Ticket to Ride, Windmill Valley, Star Wars Rebellion, Imperium, Tribes of the Wind, Tricarion, Star Realms, Valley of the Kings. Yeah, I mean, a bunch of these games just couldn't make my top 50. But if you ask me to play these games, I'm going to damn well play them. They're still good fun. And there's games that have fallen lower than, you know, 74. They'll be in my top 100 games, perhaps. And I still love them. I mean, I'm looking at last year's list, you know, where it was below 50, and I saw stuff like, you know, Attawar, Fox in the Forest, Foriferous, Manhattan Project Energy Empire, Cryptid, Meadow, River of Gold, Whistle Stop, Obsession, Tawanaku, Lands of Galzir, Hanamakoji, Coffee Roaster, you know, This War of Mine. You know, there's a bunch of these games that I still really love. You know, if I get a chance to play them, I will. But you can only play so many. There's only room for 50 games. And, you know, as much as I'm very critical on games, there are still going to be games that I rank 8, 9, and 10, and they're going to fight for my top 50 spots, and there's going to be some shift, and a lot of it will come down to time. You know, that's probably the more interesting thing. Rather than looking at just this year and last year, although that can still have a fair bit of a shift, you know, when you look at my list that I've done throughout all the years I've been doing it, you can see how my tastes in games have evolved, or how they've changed, you know, or how certain games, you know, have, you know, been fantastic at one point and then kind of whittled their way down over time. And you can see the ones that have stayed put at the top. You know, they've sung to me, or they've just stood the test of time for whatever reason, and others haven't. So I always like watching these lists when other people do them, and it's great that, you know, I can do these lists every now and again. But just once a year is enough, because it's a lot of work. So that's it for the top 50 for this year. We're not doing this until at least February 2027. We are done. We are done with this. We can go back to 1 or 2 little reviews, but mainly I think we can go back and do some actual top 10 lists, you know, because top 10s for me kind of die after September, because I have to think about Essen and all those ones. But in this period of time, from sort of February to, February to August time, I can do more top 10 lists, and I am prepping for the top 10 trick-taking games list. I'm definitely going to do that one first, I think. But I am playing a few trick takers at the moment to see where they would fit, and one is due to arrive tomorrow. People were very adamant I had to check out something called Movie Tricks. Know nothing about it, never heard of it, but apparently it's a good trick-taking game. So, okay, I'll see what it's like. You know, nobody really told me about it. I was never sent a review copy by whoever made it, you know, so, yeah, I'll give it a shot. It was cheap, you know, see if it's any good. But, yeah, I think that's going to be a fun list for me to do, so we'll get to that when I can. But until next time, thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed these 50 games. By all means, get your comments down below as to whether you love or hate these games. You know, let me know your thoughts, you know, good or bad, because it's fun to debate these games. Hope you've enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting if you're one of the Patreons. You know, happy to do this, but just a bit knackered now. It's time to rest a little and get on to something else. So without further ado, take care. Remember, it's only a game, and I'll see you on the next Broken Meeple video. Bye-bye for now.